My guest in the lounge today, we go back to 1991.
Yep.
This gentleman, you know what? Let me just do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and just jump it out there. My guest in the lounge today, guys, is longtime coach, Coach Ron Milus, defensive back coach specialist, and our paths first crossed University of Washington in 1991. Of which Coach Milus also played at the University of Washington as well during his college time. So, you know, like most of us that have that opportunity to play competitive sports in college and beyond, it's always nice to be able to go back and give back to the university or the high schools, for that matter, that, you know, gave us an opportunity to get out there and showcase our talents, and then go back and teach these guys, you know, what we had the opportunity to learn when we were in that position as well. And I just want to give you guys a little bit more of a background on Coach Milus. He's coached defensive backs. He's now currently with the Indianapolis Colts, but before the Colts, he spent majority of his time with the San Diego Chargers, now the Los Angeles Chargers. From the Chargers, he graduated over to the Las Vegas Raiders. And from the Raiders, he has now found his new home with the Indianapolis Colts. And I don't know if those DBs really understand how lucky they are to have a coach like Coach Milus. Again, we go back to, you know, Coach was a young man when our paths crossed at the University of Washington, and here we are, you know, some 20 years later, and he's still doing his thing and having success doing it, which is an amazing feat in itself. So, you know, let me just get out the way right here. Just, you know, guys, put your hands together. Welcome him into the lounge for us today. Coach Ron Milus. Coach.
Hey.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for taking time to join us in the lounge today, man. How's things going for you?
You know what? It's going very well for me. The biggest thing is that I was able to find some work, you know, that month of January, whereas I was out there after the season with the Raiders trying to look for basically work. And I was, you know, fortunate enough that Gus Bradley was able to land a job here with the Colts, and he felt strong enough that Ron Milus should be coming along with him.
Well, you know what? I mean, that just shows that Gus Bradley right there, he's a sharp man to keep you on staff, Coach, to keep with him. So definitely glad to see that you're still out there putting in the good work, putting in the grind, and congratulations to you for getting another opportunity to stay up there and teach these guys what you have inside your head between the ears, and see if we can get these guys to play a little bit better while we're out there.
Well, the one thing they do have, they got talent here. When I say we have talent here with the Colts. I mean, we've got some guys that have gone on to Pro Bowls. Kenny Moore, he's done a hell of a job here over time. I'm just trying to get him to stay where he's at. And so I'm not coming to a situation where the cupboards are bare. Let's just put it that way.
Right. I'm with you, Coach. Now let me ask you this. I'm curious because, you know, I like to joke about my professional career. You know, I say, you know, I did get to the CFL, and I was there long enough that my cup of coffee never got cold.
Right.
But in the same respect, what's the big difference for you seeing or coaching and working with these young men? And I say young in terms of the college guys who are extremely talented. A lot of them, as you have seen and worked with, you're now coaching with and against a lot of these guys in the NFL. What's the big difference that you have noticed and experienced between coaching in the college ranks and then going into the NFL ranks, to the top, the highest level of all to coach?
Most of these guys are just a little bit more mature. I mean, obviously, when you're in college, you're not that far away from your high school days. And I can remember this. Now, Lou, it wasn't so much you. I had some other guys.
I was about to say that. Don't you start telling no tales. Don't you dare start.
I remember. I can remember doing this. There were times where I literally had to go up to Kane Hall and just to make sure guys were in class. Right. You know, I mean, that's the stuff that's different. I mean, a little bit more mature, but coaching them is really very similar. Yeah, obviously, it's more of a collaborative effort here. I can't go, you know, get into them like I used to get into them with the kids at the college level of talking about hard coaching. But this is more of coaxing them to do it the right way. I like to say this: I paper cut them to death. I don't dagger them. I paper cut a guy, and it hurts, but you heal. You heal quick.
Yeah.
But if I went in at them real hard, that'd be something different. And in college football, you tend to do that a little bit more hard.
Absolutely. Now, for those of you who may not have experience or know, I've had a lot of paper cuts through the years, and they do heal, but they're one of the most nagging little things to have to deal with. And just when you think you got past it, something will come up. Maybe you get a little grease, a little oil or something on top of that paper cut, and it's just enough to remind you, like, oh, doggone it.
Well, that's what Coach Milus is for.
The paper
I'm the
cutter
salt in the wound at times.
The paper cutter, I love it. You know, let me ask you this, Coach, and I'm asking you this question coming up because I want our listeners to understand the student mentality of the game. And, you know, we have a lot of guys out there who are extremely talented, right? They just have that natural, raw something that you just can't teach, whether it's courage, the ability to understand where they are on the field, breaking on balls. And then there's the student mentality aspect of the game in terms of understanding who we're playing and what they're trying to do against us. How much of the difference of the two, the student mentality aspect of the game versus just natural raw ability and talent, plays a role in the NFL? Is it harder to get guys to be more tuned in the student mentality part because they're so much further along in terms of natural athletic talent and ability? Or do you find that even the guys who have all the natural raw skills have just as much tenacity on the student aspect of the game?
Well, here's what I will say. Okay, at the end of the day, it's still about, you know, tackling, throwing the ball, and all those kind of good things. But you still have got to be a student of the game, kind of like what you're talking about. What I've found over time, the guys with the most athletic ability are not always the best players. That's just like when you were growing up. There's probably a kid or two when you were growing up was probably a better athlete than you were, Lou. Okay,
absolutely.
But up here, it wasn't quite the same. The same thing is here at the National Football League level. I've had first rounders with all the talent in the world, but they can't put it all together. And then there's the free agent. For whatever reason, they're hungry. They're willing to learn. They're just eating up everything you basically say. They have enough ability, and they are able to flourish and then take it to the next level. The perfect example is Chris Harris, who was with the Denver Broncos for a number of years. I want to say he may have made the all-decade team. I mean, at the end of the day, he came into our organization, and I think it was 2011 when I was with the Broncos as a undrafted free agent, may have gotten $1,500 as far as the signing bonus was concerned, and then turned that $1,500 into whatever he's made in his career. And but part of that is he had the right mentality. He had the mentality, and he had the wherewithal to figure it out in the classroom as well as on the field. And then there's those guys you see with height, weight, speed, but just can't put it all together. And at some point, I know the NFL, not for long, at some point they weed themselves out. Right. And and I think that's exactly what happens at the high school level. It happens at the college level, and it definitely happens at this level. Those guys that can't figure it out, they'll get weeded out.
Absolutely. You know what, Coach? We're at that moment right now, and people know listening to the show, we have to take a quick break. That's how we pay the bills around here. Otherwise, I said it last week, we'll be doing the show in the dark. Hey guys, you're listening to Big Lou, the host of the Sports Lounge, right here on AM 1290 KZSB and 96.9 FM, Santa Barbara News Press Radio. We're in the lounge with Coach Ron Milus. We will be right back.